Welcome back to American Living in Canada channel. Today it's about red, white, and boo. Canadians have been booing the American National Anthem at NHL hockey games for the past month or so. Why is that? The answer is pretty obvious. It's a response to Donald Trump's tariff threats and his references to annexing Canada or making Canada become the 51st state of the US. So Canadians are reacting rather strongly to this. So let's backtrack a little bit. Canada has been America's closest ally since World War II. They fought alongside the US in the Korea War, the Vietnam War, the Persian Gulf War, and served alongside U.S. troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. The culture here in Canada is very similar to the culture in the U.S. We speak, for the most part, the same language, eat the same foods, enjoy the same entertainment. We have the same daily customs. The holidays are very closely aligned. Canada celebrates Canada Day on July 1st, and Americans celebrate their national holiday, the 4th of July, a few days later. So things are very closely aligned between Canada and the U.S. So it's a bit of a shock to the system to hear Donald Trump talk about the closest ally, the closest American ally in this way. So let's go through the reasons why Donald Trump has issued these tariff threats. Publicly has cited two things: fentanyl and illegal immigration. A close look at those two issues indicates that they are minor issues with respect to Canada. The fentanyl in the U.S., less than 1% of the fentanyl comes down from Canada. Ditto for illegal immigrants. Less than 1% of illegal immigrants in the States come down from Canada. So those two cannot be the real reason why Donald Trump is threatening tariffs against Canada. My personal theory is that Donald Trump intensely dislikes Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, as does a lot of the MAGA base. This is insane because, first of all, Justin Trudeau stepped down as the Liberal Party leader a while ago, and there's a leadership race underway to determine the new leader of the Liberal Party. Once that's settled, Canada will have federal elections to determine the political makeup of the parliament and thereby the next prime minister. So is this policy of tariffs wholly based on his dislike of Justin Trudeau? Perhaps, but that's my theory. But it may have unintended consequences. When he engaged in these tariff threats and the negative talk about Canada, it had the unintended consequence of boosting the popularity of a deeply unpopular leader in Justin Trudeau. It may have boosted the electoral chances of the Liberal Party here in Canada. Regardless of who becomes the next Prime Minister, there's going to be a fair bit of pressure from the Canadian public on the next Prime Minister to push back. And the pushback will come in the form of retaliatory tariffs. Now here's the thing. Trump was elected due to concerns about inflation, the price of eggs, and the general cost of living going up. With retaliatory tariffs, the cost of living for Americans are going to go up. So I don't think that Donald Trump has really thought through this. All right, now let me take a step back. During my 18 years here in Canada, I have found Canadians to be generally pro-American. I have encountered one episode of Anti-Americanism in my 18 years up here, but it was not directed at me personally. It was a discussion about racism in the US. Now, this is before all of the unmarked graves of residential school children were found. So I got into a spirited argument with this other Canadian about the social conditions in the US. Long story short, this is the only time I've run into any kind of explicit anti-Americanism here in Canada. So to see this outburst in the last month or so is somewhat disturbing to me, but very understandable from the perspective of Canadians. My wife told me of a famous Molson beer commercial that came out in 2000 that captures the anti-Americanism that can arise here in Canada every so often. And the link to that commercial is down below. I'm going to put in 3 links to 3 different commercials. Watch them in order, particularly the second one, which captures Canadian views of the ugly American stereotype. So, while this country is generally pro-American, read something lines below the surface, here, beneath the surface. For now, I interpret the mood here in Canada to be more anti-Trump than anti-American. But that could change over time if this attitude persists over time. And we'll see if this attitude changes after the federal election here in Canada. We'll see. Any potential pushback by the Canadians would mirror those pushing back in the Middle East, Mexico, European Union, and China. This could be very costly for American consumers, because if in the potential scenario where you have China, Mexico, European Union, and Canada all imposing retaliatory tariffs on U.S. consumers, life could get pretty expensive and run contrary to Trump's promise to make America affordable again. In closing, the attitude here, I think, is more anti-Trump than anti-American, but we will see. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and please give this video a thumbs up, because that will help my video in the algorithmic feed. Please subscribe and have a great day.